Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Let's see it.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Is this just a cringe cliche, or does it actually have merit? In this video, we're gonna talk about this cliche and 7 more. Every bullet has a lawyer attached to it.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
I've heard this statement on the internet, I've heard it in gun classes, I've used it myself. It is a common thing that people use and talk about. What's misleading about it is it can be used in an overly cautious way. It can be used in a way that's trying to influence people to be afraid of shooting. Be afraid of shooting when they go out and train, be afraid of shooting when a bad guy needs to be shot. And so if it is used in that way to put people in a fear state, to make them hesitant when action is required, then that would be a negative thing. The value that this statement has is to understand that every time you pull the trigger, there are consequences, and those consequences need to be understood. If you go out training with your friends, you should make sure that whatever you're shooting into actually stops the bullet so you don't hit someone else. Also, when you go to a shooting range, lawyers and insurance companies have already figured out it's okay to shoot into this berm. And then in real life, when you shoot somebody, you should shoot somebody who needs to be shot and not someone who doesn't need to be shot. And then you should be sure of your target and what's in front of it, behind it, next to it, and you should make sure your hits land, because if they don't, there's gonna be consequences. The next one is train like you fight. This is a super common one that I have heard in training, super common on the internet. There's 2 sides to this. The negative side is that all sorts of people come up with weird training and weird drills in an effort to make their training realistic. So it's training like you fight. Or they say, at all times that you're doing any training, you should dress like you would when you're actually gonna be in the event. You're wearing all of your armor, all of your kit, and there's no time or place to not do that. While the intention there is good, if we apply that same principle to athletics, other sports, it kind of breaks down and it's kind of apparent. If you were on a basketball team saying, train like you fight, and applying that in a rigid way, would basically be saying, we're only gonna scrimmage. There's no place for running drills. There's no place for learning plays. There's no place for skill-based work. In the same way, in a tactical place, it would be like, there's no place for actually shooting on the range. We should just be doing scenario-based training. And so the idea of train how you fight, there is good intention, but is often taken to extreme places. What's valuable about the statement is more of a mindset or a perspective. So you should train seriously. You should train with intention. You should train with focus. You should train frequently. It is more about how you approach your training and less about what specific things you do in your training. And this is where I think there would be a bridge over to competitive shooting. If you're doing it for the purpose of helping to prepare you for dealing with a real violent confrontation, then there's lots of value because it's gonna provide pressure. It's gonna provide a consistent, measurable feedback and critique of your skill set compared to other people. Better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. So this is most commonly seen in things like social media comments or the conversation around the bar with a bunch of dudes who think they're way cooler than they actually are. It is a statement that is full of bravado. What's misleading about it is it assumes that what you believe about justified lethal force and what the law says about justified lethal force are in conflict with each other. And that, for most people, is rarely the case. So what's valuable about this statement is it very quickly identifies people who have not thought very deeply about the use of lethal force and the consequences of it. The other thing that's valuable about it is understanding there are potentially times when doing the right thing might be in conflict with what the law says. And so if those unique situations do occur, then it is worthwhile talking through those things and thinking through those things and talking with your family about those things so that when the time comes, you can make the correct decision. The next one we're going to talk about is 2 world wars. It's true. .9mm may expand, but .45 will never shrink. This is also true. This is a statement that is commonly seen on the internet and various debates old school gun mags in various debates. It is the classic caliber debate, 9, 40, 45. What's misleading about it is that for low velocity handgun speeds, the size of the bullet, like the 9mm versus the 45, actually matters. So while this statement is technically true, it really doesn't add much value, other than maybe letting you know that whoever is touting this probably also believes in hydrostatic shock. 9mm may expand, but 45 will never shrink. Again, it's technically true, but it's really not relevant. Speed is fine, accuracy is final. So this is a statement that is attributed to Wyatt Earp and also is commonly used by people who shoot slowly. The thing that's misleading about this statement is the idea that speed and accuracy are always in conflict with each other. And so that if you're going to shoot fast, by definition, then have to shoot inaccurately. What's valuable about this is that an emphasis on accuracy, or at least an emphasis on well-placed shots where that hit places that matter, is really important. It also reveals people who don't want to get better and are unwilling to put the time and energy in to raise their level of accuracy and raise their level of speed, because the two are not actually in conflict with each other. As a good friend of mine from my old SWAT team used to say, you want to achieve fast accuracy that is not separate from other things. The next one is slow down and get your hits. Where have we heard this? All over the place, including myself. I use it from time to time. The thing that's misleading about this statement is the idea that you have to slow down to get your hits, because you don't actually have to slow down to get your hits. Speed and accuracy, again, are not things that are in competition with each other. They can complement one another. The better thing to do in a situation like this is actually to cue the issue the person is having with grip, or with trigger manipulation, or with vision. So it's kind of a lazy man's version of coaching, right? It is kind of devoid of an understanding of what's actually happening. Slowing down may be the thing the person needs to do to get proper grip, to have proper sight alignment, to have proper vision, but it's like creating the circumstance for it. It's not the actual thing. So coach the actual thing. The time that it's really valuable is probably for a brand new shooter who is going faster than they can actually shoot safely. And it is more about a safety issue than it is about a performance issue. You have a brand new shooter standing there at 7 yards, 10 yards, and they are missing the silhouette. That person should slow down. And that is a perfectly appropriate coaching cue. Consistently 4 or 5 rounds a second, telling that person to slow down to get their hits is actually probably not helpful. You should tell them what they specifically need to do to get their hits, which isn't slow down, but is probably to adjust their grip tension or something like that. The final one is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. This is heard at every police academy everywhere. Oftentimes this statement is used as an excuse for people to go slow and just stay slow. It also kind of implies that as long as you just are smooth, the speed will just kind of magically happen. The reality is, if you want to go fast, you have to go fast. However, sometimes as a new shooter, it is hard to go fast because you hit various friction points because your skill set isn't mature enough. And slowing down and working out some of those friction points will help you to go fast. Slow does not equal fast. Slow can equal smooth. Smooth can equal fast. There's a disconnect there. And the connection point is working out your skill and focusing on certain paths of motion that will allow you to go fast, because ultimately what you want to do is go fast and not just go slow and not just go smooth. There are times where the sentiment behind that statement works, but it's usually not where people are using it. Words matter. If you want to learn more about how words can help your shooting, then watch this video. If you want to learn why your heating bill is so high, watch this video. If you want to learn how to make Haitian white bean soup, check this video out.